There has never been a better time than now to come join the Bellisio Foods team. Bellisio has a new contract in place with plenty of awesome perks for their employees. From increased wages, access to the free health clinic, vacation after 6 months, and much more, Bellisio Foods is committed to putting their employees first. For more information or to apply, visit BellisioFoods.com/careers. Take advantage of these great new employee benefits and join the Bellisio team today. Visit BellisioFoods.com/careers to learn more.
Well, happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the morning show right here
Monday
on
morning.
Main Street TV Monday.
Everyone's favorite day.
It is. It is the beginning of a beautiful new week. Well, if you, like cooler weather.
Yeah. Is it going to be cooler?
Honey, I got you this
Dude,
week.
I hope so. I was so miserable yesterday.
I got you this week.
It was so bad.
So, last week was, shall we say, a bit on the warm side. But this week, looking better, although we can't complain much because we are going to get remnants of the hurricane that's hitting down in New Orleans and in that area right now. But obviously, we're not going to get the horrific storms that they got down there, knocking out power and doing all that stuff. So I was reading this morning. Did you know there's such a thing called the Waffle House Index?
Yeah, if the Waffle House closes, your town is in.
You better look out.
Yeah, it's time to leave town.
So the Waffle House Index has become a thing with like weather forecasters and whatever because the Waffle House never closes ever. That's their thing. No matter rain, sleet, snow, whatever, Christmas, we don't care. We're open 24/7. And if a Waffle House is actually forced to close, then
it's time to evacuate.
It's time to get the heck out of Dodge. But they have a 3-tier system, and now weather forecasters and things are actually using the Waffle House as a good reference.
Well, I mean, they can't
to do.
They can't get the forecast right anyway.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And did you see the the guy that got blown away?
No.
Like he was. Why on earth do they put these like beautiful people in like parkas down in the middle of like the ocean and it's going this way and they're screaming and it's just so ridiculously embarrassing. But anyway, one got blown away like during the hurricane. Yeah. Which is kind of funny because you deserve what you get if you're standing in the middle of the hurricane.
My favorite clip like that is they stuck the poor weatherman like in like a kayak. And they're trying to make it look like, oh, it's flooding. It's flooding so bad, you need a kayak. And then some dude with his groceries just like walks behind him in like ankle deep water.
Fail.
Yeah.
But no, the Waffle House, they have a 3-tier index. So they have fully open. It's like colored coordinated. So it's like green, orange, and red or something like that.
Okay.
And so they are like red is like they're not open. Then there's like the middle one where
yellow is like limited
menu, and then the other one's like they're full open, which is where they operate 99% of the time.
Right.
But they were just reporting this morning. You're in trouble when the Waffle House is at red.
Yeah.
That means, as you said, get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, especially if you're down south.
Yeah, for sure. In the eye of the hurricane or in the middle of the hurricane or on the outskirts of the hurricane or whatever. But boy, I don't remember ever so many hurricanes hitting the United States as has happened in the past few years.
Yeah, well, climate change.
I guess. Yeah. Or just a shift of I don't know.
It's just that it's warmer. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that little bit warmer is enough to cause that stuff to happen.
It is just a little bit much, and it's just, I don't know. It's very devastating. But anywho,
makes you glad you don't live in a place that gets,
even more
the worst
so,
of that stuff.
Yes, even better to not have a beach house, have a lake house.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, there weren't any hurricanes down on the lake.
No.
You may get a little bit of the remnants of it, but not.
No. Well, I think Saturday or Sunday, the forecast, look at the forecast, and it's like thunderstorms like all afternoon, right? And then like we get like one clash of thunder and it like sprinkles for about 15 minutes and then it stops. I was like, man, I'm sure glad we
Yeah.
made it through that big storm.
Woo! It was a rough one. Yeah,
It
it
did.
was.
It did storm pretty good Friday night though for a little bit, didn't it?
It did. Football
Yeah.
Friday night.
Football Friday night.
Well,
It was a Friday night that people are going to remember for a long time, isn't it?
I think so. Yes. So yeah, Football Friday night here in our area was quite eventful,
Yeah.
to say the least. If you haven't heard, go get you some coffee and sit down
Yeah.
because we're fixing to tell you all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not every day that we're covering the same story that was like on Sports Center
On ESPN
this
yesterday.
morning. Yeah.
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 We should call them, see if they need
Maybe
us.
we should.
Do you need
Yeah.
our help?
Yeah. Pete Wilson's got all the info from this. But yeah, so all 4 area teams were in action last night. We got
Or Friday night,
Friday
yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Friday night. Yeah. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. There's our scores. So unfortunately, only one of the 4 local teams came out on top, and that was Vinton County.
Yes.
Let's see if I can. Okay. Red Thompson gave me a little bit of info.
They-
let's see.
They shattered the ceramics.
Yeah, they shattered the ceramics. So this is Blake Brown making a sack in the first half. The Vikings led 7-0 at the half, and then won 20-0. So that was a big game
Nice.
for them. Big
Yeah.
win for them. Oak Hill had the first game on their new turf.
Look how pretty it is.
Yeah, so there's that new turf, but unfortunately it didn't. Oh, that's not them. Where we go? There we go. But unfortunately the game didn't go the Oaks' way. That is Derek Boggs and Nate Clutters. Derek scored a 3-yard run for a touchdown in the first quarter, but unfortunately that was the only points that the Oaks scored.
Ouch.
And the final score of that one was 55-7.
Yikes.
Yeah, and then Wellston didn't fare a whole lot better, losing to Piketon 43-13.
Although Piketon is very good this year, from
Yeah.
what I've
Well,
heard.
apparently, because
Yeah.
it's because the Golden Rockets had a pretty hard time with them.
And Wellston has been really up
Yeah.
lately. So
Yeah. Well, they beat Oak Hill pretty soundly last week.
Yep.
You can see that Oak Hill, they're kind of 2 games and only scored twice in 2 games, so they're off to a pretty slow start,
Yep.
unfortunately. But this weekend is senior night for Oak Hill, so hopefully that is the catalyst for them to get turned around.
they're gonna get them, and maybe they're just don't want to damage their new turf by
Maybe.
sinking those cleats in really
Yeah.
hard. I
Well,
don't know.
It
is beautiful.
Yeah, it is nice. I don't
So pretty.
Yeah.
No,
But
Friday was insane weather-wise.
Yeah.
And if you think that doesn't mess up the whole system,
right.
you're sadly mistaken. I know, like the Jackson game, they had already postponed it due to the heat, and
Yeah.
then like a half hour, and then it
Mhm.
ended up with the thunder and lightning, even an hour more than that. So we're playing an hour and a half later,
Yeah.
getting a start than we would have, and
Yeah.
it was a mess. And I know I was talking to one of the band kids yesterday, and she was just telling me, they had to kind of stick us wherever they could.
Yeah.
And she's like, it was just, the whole thing was kind of a
Mhm.
nightmare of she wasn't complaining. It was just like they had to put certain sections, certain places, so they weren't like standing in water. And then
Yeah.
they were in front of the people in the stands, and they were
Mhm.
yelling at them. And
Yeah.
she was just like, it was kind of discouraging, but
Yeah. Speaking of the
Anyway.
band,
Yes.
we have the Oak Hill Band's halftime show. It's on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page.
how fun.
I was going to play it on the show today, but I forgot about it until just now, so I don't have it queued up. If we have time, maybe I'll run and get that queued up
Okay.
toward the end of the show. But we do have that already posted on our Facebook page and on the Total Media YouTube page, so you can go watch that anytime.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
this brings us to the Jackson Ironton game, which everybody knew that this was going to be a game.
Big game.
Yeah, so this was
Huge.
easily the most anticipated game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it rained.
It did.
and
It
they-
stormed.
It stormed, and so they had about an hour and a half weather delay before
Yes.
they got started.
Yep.
And of course, this came after it being hot and humid all day, and the
Yes.
game was already postponed like an hour or half an hour or whatever.
Yep.
Just so they would start after the sun set, so it would be cooler.
Yep.
So they ended up not starting until like 8:30
I
or
think it was
9
8:30.
o'clock.
Yeah.
So they were late getting started. You know, everything was probably wet. They were probably already exhausted before the game even started.
Correct.
The game was just like tough back and forth defensive game.
Huge defensive game.
Tied 7-7 almost the entire game.
Yep.
Come down to it. Just a minute or so left on the clock.
Mhm.
The Ironmen march down the field and put themselves in position to win the game.
Yep.
All right. Do we want to just cue up the video? Just let that do the talking. Let Dan Morrow give us the scene.
I don't know if there's anybody better than Dan and Pete and,
Yeah.
and whatever.
Well, so Pete is surprisingly speechless throughout this whole ordeal.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So mind you, this is a game that ended up on Sports Center
Yeah.
yesterday. So if you don't know what happened,
You're about to find out.
you're about to find out.
Ironman trying to win this game on a 5-second, a field goal with 5.5 seconds. The snap. High snap, but it's brought down by Wood. The kick is up and good, and the Ironmen have taken a 10-7 lead. Great hold by Jake. And it is a squib. It's going to be touched by Ironton. This game's over unless he runs it back. Now they pitch it back to Masters at the 23. He's running to the wide side of the field. He looks to pitch it back to the 20. They still are on their feet. We've seen this happen, and oh my gosh, he's got some room to run. And we're going to see if the Ironman, if he can turn the corner, and I cannot believe that. 3 pitches. He's able to turn the field and gets turned around the corner and ends up scoring a touchdown. And there is mass celebration not only in this press box, but by the Ironton Tigers.
So that's how
I
it
didn't
ended.
get to see it, so this is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
I listened to it.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
That's,
3 seconds left on the clock.
1.4, I think.
1.4 seconds. It's just a fluke.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Good for
It's
Ironton.
heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for
but
the
it's
Jackson fans, especially the people that drove all the way up there.
Yes.
And waited through that whole rain delay and watched this game where there was only 14 points scored for almost the entire game, and then there were 9 points scored in the last 5 seconds of the game.
Oh, it's just unbelievable.
It is.
Is the only
It
word
really
I can use
Yeah.
is unbelievable. And if you didn't realize, Ethan Crabtree is the Jackson player that kicked that supposedly it was supposed to be the game-winning field goal. Who is little Amanda?
Yeah.
and then unfortunately,
Yeah.
madness happened. So
Yep. I don't ever remember any area game ending that exciting before.
it was so weird because Jamie and I had been at the restaurant working all day, and we got home and he was like, "Hey, can we listen to that game?" And I said, we can turn it on the Total Media Radio app.
Yeah.
And so we're listening, and Ethan kicks that field goal. We're like, yeah.
Wow.
And he's like,
How
oh,
amazing.
he's like, there's 1.4 seconds left. I have a really bad feeling
Yeah.
about this. And I'm like, oh, for the love of God, like what is going to happen
Right.
in 1.4
Right.
seconds? And he's like, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
And there it was.
Yeah.
So
I had pointed out that in the first game of the season, the Ironmen gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown on the very first play of the game. And in the second game of the season, unfortunately, they gave up that kickoff return for a touchdown on the last play of the game.
The odds of something like that happening, there's got to be somebody out there, some statistician somewhere that can tell you, but
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't give up another kickoff return. I mean, that doesn't happen much.
no.
Right? Like, in the pros, they've made it so they almost completely eliminated kickoffs because they've moved them so close. They almost all go out the end zone.
Right.
Because so many people get hurt on
On
kickoff
returns,
They've
yeah.
all but eliminated it. And even in college, you don't even see them return the kicks all that much
No, because
anymore.
most of the time they end up in the stands somewhere,
Right.
the kickoff. So, I don't, wow. And like 4 laterals, really?
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Yeah. And so if you want, we can watch that again. I don't know. It might be too painful for people to see.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's worthy of
Okay.
watching it
All right,
again.
let's watch it one more time just because it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Ireland trying to win this game on a 5-second, a field goal with 5.5 seconds. The snap. High snap, but it's brought down by Wood. The kick is up and good, and the Ironmen have taken a 10-7 lead. Great hold by Jake. And it is a squib. It's going to be touched by Ironton. This game's over unless he runs it back. Now they pitch it back to Masters at the 23. He's running to the wide side of the field. He looks to pitch it back to the 20. They still are on their feet. We've seen this happen, and oh my gosh, he's got some room to run. And we're going to see if the Ironman, if he can turn the corner, and I cannot believe that. 3 pitches. He's able to turn the field and gets turned around the corner and ends up scoring it.
It doesn't get you better,
No,
James.
no.
It does not.
Isn't that? I mean, it's just such an amazing ending.
Give them
though.
credit, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
for high
it's-
school kids to have the, the wherewithal to
And
in
that's
their
not
minds.
really something you practice.
No, you don't practice
Right.
lateral. Like
And-
that's just that's like backyard football right there. Like
And it's not like when you practice your kickoffs, it's not like you practice like crazy broken plays like that either.
no, you're just winging that.
Yeah.
That's just kids that have played together for a long time
Yeah.
that are
And
in the right place at the right time.
And and just
Good for them.
and just doing that without, because when you see teams in the pros do that, they almost always throw a forward lateral at some point.
Yeah.
And even if the play does fall apart
Yeah.
and you get into the end zone like that, it always gets called back. 'Cause
That's right.
It's just so hard to do it without making any mistakes.
Because
like that.
any forward progress, you're out.
Right.
You're done.
Right.
And
or somebody drops one of those laterals. And
Yes.
The ball,
And I feel like at one point, I think, I don't know if it was Dan or Pete, one of them said, my God, there's no flags. Like, it wasn't, that's
Yeah.
not exactly what they said, but, because that just doesn't happen.
Right.
When you lateral that many times, you'd think there's
You always something wrong.
happens.
Oh, yeah.
And they killed it.
Yeah.
Good for you, Ironton. And that was something else.
Yeah. So we have Dan's post-game interview
Okay.
with Coach
Coach Andy Hall.
Coach Andy Hall.
Yeah.
So we have that interview. We
Okay.
can listen to that if you want.
Yeah,
we can listen to it,
absolutely.
play it now, or we can play it in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you want to go over the weather forecast? Because I know a lot of people are interested in that.
You want to talk about the weather first?
Yeah. Do
All
you
right.
have
Yep.
Do you have that weather pulled up there?
Yep. Here we go.
Yeah, let's do that. And as you can see, the good news is if you get through today, a little bit of chance of rain. Actually, a lot of chance of rain today. About an 80% chance of rain today. Higher temperatures today of 86 degrees. But as you can see, as the week rolls on, much more moderate temperatures. They are calling for Tuesday, Wednesday, getting those remnants of the hurricane. But highs on Tuesday only 76 and Wednesday only 76. And if we can get through those 2 days, the hurricane then moves on. It sounds weird to say we have a hurricane coming our way, but it's the truth. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, look at those great moderate temperatures. So really looking much better
Yeah.
this week.
That does look better.
We were in the high 90s
Dude, it was
last
so
week.
hot.
And it was like you walked outside and you couldn't breathe. Hot.
It was
Yeah.
really hot.
That's dangerous stuff.
Mhm.
So, which Allah is why they postponed some of the games and things like that to try to give the kids more time.
Well, I was at the Oak Hill game, and I noticed that the Fairland players, they warmed up without their pads and stuff like that.
Oh, did they?
It was just too hot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're already overheated before the game starts, that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
So there you go. Fingers crossed as moderate temperatures continue on.
Yeah.
How about we have a fall?
Yeah, I mean,
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
we are still technically 24 days away from fall.
I don't know. When? Let's ask this girl on my phone.
Okay.
When's the first day of fall? September 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. Because today is the 30th of...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're not quite to fall yet.
Not quite to fall, but...
School starts and people think it's fall, but it's really just the worst of summer.
Right. It's just the worst time ever.
Yeah.
No, when football season starts, everyone starts thinking of fall.
Yeah.
You know, you start thinking about your sweatshirts and your pumpkin candles and all of that stuff that you do in the fall. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, some of the leaves in my house, we have a lot of trees, and I'm sure that you've noticed it too, have been changing and falling. And
yeah, a lot of the smaller trees are already starting to lose their leaves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I will say our apple tree this year is rocking it.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my gosh, this has been the best year ever for our apple tree. And so the deer and Jamie and I have this
Mutual agreement.
Yeah. They get half the tree, we get half the tree.
Okay.
So if you imagine an apple tree and how tall a deer can be when it stands on its hind legs and picks apples off the tree, that's what Jamie and I get from there up.
Yeah.
And it is still full. The deer are happy, we are happy. Stay tuned for a really good 6 cents beer coming out of those apples.
So my parents planted an apple tree a few years ago, and it finally started bearing fruit this year.
Takes a long time for them to start.
The apple tree started bearing fruit this year for us to discover that it is a pear tree, not an apple tree.
Oops. Well, equally as yummy.
Yeah. Well, you should try the pears before you say that. They're pretty tart.
Well, we haven't got there yet.
Yeah, but they're good for baking.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah, they're real bad even by
Those
themselves.
are the funniest looking apples I've ever seen.
Yeah. My dad didn't believe me. I was like, "There's pears in your apple tree."
What would be really cool is have you seen those weird grafted trees where they take them and they
fruit?
Yeah.
No.
So they'll take they graft them. So they'll take an apple tree and a pear tree and a peach tree or whatever and basically force them to grow together, and so they grow weird.
Is that how they make all those weird apple juice flavors? Like mango, banana?
I'm thinking that might happen in the factory.
Okay.
But nice try.
All right, I was just curious.
All off of one tree. Yeah.
All right, well, we're getting off topic.
We are getting off topic.
We're getting off football. All right, so are we ready to send it over to Dan and...
because I'm really interested in what Dan and Andy have to say about this game, because again, this is a game that made the national news because plays like that don't
it is
happen.
Crazy. Yeah. All right, let's rewind back to Friday night.
This is tough. Coach Hall, first of all, I appreciate you coming up here and talking to us after every game. This one has to be one of the hardest we've ever done.
It is, but I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of our kids tonight. You know, if anyone ever doubted that we couldn't compete at this level or this level of toughness, a bunch of people did. Then we made believers tonight. Shaking hands with those guys after the game, they said, "Hey, this is your game to win. We didn't deserve to win this thing." So proud of our kids, how tough we played. We knew it was going to come down to this type of game. Their defense is one of the best defenses we've seen in years. You know, they have great speed. The perimeter, they have those big horses up front. So it was really hard to determine what we could do, and we tried to mix up a lot of formations tonight, which helped us. Trying to get in a groove. You know, the 2 turnovers in the first half really hurt us, offensively to keep things going. But, boy, our defense played lights out.
Little stat, our defense now in 2 games has given up 1 score, 2 kickoff returns, and 1 score against 2 quality programs. I mean, they've been fabulous. They kept getting us back on the field continually, and they worked their tail off tonight.
They did. Grant Maston had another great performance at linebacker. I mean, he's having a heck of a senior year.
Very good.
Oh, my gosh. Xander Karagoshin. I'm pronouncing that wrong. I know. My God.
I butchered up too, and he's a special player.
He is a special player. I tell you what, he's all over the place tonight. I thought our D-line tonight did their jobs. You know, we played Caleb McGraw in there, Ty Jones, Tylen Messer, Sean Woodyard got a start tonight and played really well, that D-tackle, and they just had jobs of just don't get washed, create piles, and don't let those guys have lanes, because those running backs flat out fly. And that allowed, you know, Brody Butcher and Grant Maston and Jacob Winters, linebacker, to really fill those gaps and come. I thought our safeties played well. Our corners, you know, kept everything in front. You know, like I said, 5 of 15 throwing the football for them. You know, that was solid. But you know, we did what we had to do to win the game. You know, at that halftime, you know, we thought, okay, we're right in this thing. You know, the turnover they have, you know, allowed us to have field position. Finally, I mean, the first half we were inside our 20-yard line, seemed like every possession.
Ooh, it was tough.
And so we finally flipped the field. You know, Cade Wolford had a nice off-tackle run for a touchdown. So at halftime, we knew right in the ball game. Second half, it was just slugfest. But I really thought the second half we were the aggressors. I thought we really took it to them up front. You know, we did what they do to everyone else, you know, and that was pound the ball inside, play action pass. You know, here we come. You know, we moved, you know, Winters to fullback and said, hey, tackle that big guy and see if you can, you know, get him down. And
the big guy showed a little heart tonight, didn't he?
He did.
Wow.
And I knew, I mean, he had a cramp there at the end, and you knew it was coming.
You predicted that.
Yeah, I knew it was
well,
coming.
we needed to have a big body back there toting.
Right, and thought that he could do that. And, you know, Cade Wolford did a nice job at halfback leading on that stuff. I thought our line really grew up the second half and knocked those guys back. We had lanes to run through, you know, and then we get the ball down there. We had a great, I don't know how many minute drive or play drive we had to set up a field goal. But, you know, we did what we were supposed to do. We grinded the clock. We got the ball close to the middle of the field on the second or third down play. You know, great hold by Jake Wood, you know, to get the ball down. Great kick by Ethan Crabtree. I mean, it was a heck of a kick.
He tried to freeze the sophomore, and he just stayed away from everybody.
Yes.
I had really a lot of fun watching him. Even on the sideline, stayed away from everybody. Didn't talk to anybody, concentrated, and did his job.
Yeah, he did. You know, and then on the kickoff, you know, we wanted the ball just to barely be squibbed. You know, on the ground, we kicked it a little harder than we wanted to. You know, but you know, we should have got those guys to the ground. You can't allow guys. I mean, they pitched the ball twice behind the line, and you know, give them Perkins kid credit. I mean, they stayed with it. You know, we didn't get guys on the ground. You know, you play to the end, and you know, they made one more play than we did, and that was the ball game. But go ahead.
Well, you said you were going to use so many formations tonight. We did, but boy, did we lock in on just an unbalanced right or left with split backs and Spires under center. And I just said that continually. Once you found what we could do, my gosh, we just ran it and ran it.
Yeah, and we wanted to do some other things, but it just seemed like that was working.
It was working.
Just would come off tackle.
And you could run behind the unbalanced side, and you could run to the short side, right, in both ways.
Right, and so, you know, we were able to do that, and then, like I said, but the whole game defensive, I was so proud of our kids. I mean, they flew the football. You know, if that offensive line is brutal, you know. I mean, they're 300-pound kids up there with 4 running backs that run at you. You know, both fullbacks are 240. You know, they get downhill in a heartbeat, and I'll tell you, we didn't get knocked back. I mean, we gave up one run about maybe 10 yards or so, and that was it.
He's got a couple, and he is a load.
Oh, my God, he's a load. He's 212.
Yeah, but we just had more big ones late.
We did, and we did.
Converted third downs and kept it going.
And I said, you know, everyone can look and say, okay, the last play of the game got his feet. No, we had, you know, how many times we punt tonight?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we also talk about our defense gave up you know, we've only given up one score on our defense. Well, that score was because they got a turnover on the 10-yard line, had a 10-yard field to score on. That's the only points our D has given up in 2 games.
In 2 games. And so, you know, did you look at the game, and it's easy, again, to blame one play or one situation. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, you know, we punted the ball a ton tonight. We had 2 turnovers in the first half. The turnover that we had gave them the score. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we can nickel and dime this thing to death, but we didn't, you know, one more play and we lost the ball game. But, again, I'm so proud of our kids because we showed some toughness tonight that, you know, you don't know what you got until you're in those battles. You know, I told the kids, I said, you know, this is a game that we put on the schedule, because if we want to win a regional championship, we got to play Hartley, we got to play Waterston, we got to play Triumph Valley. Guys are just as big as this and physical, and we can't be week 12, 13, and then all of a sudden get hit in the mouth and not have any idea how we're going to respond to it. So this is a playoff atmosphere, a playoff game, a playoff team in the state championship 2 years in a row, and we went toe-to-toe with these guys tonight. So, we feel bad. I know those kids are devastated in the locker room. I told them you got about 20 minutes to feel bad right now, and then we're going to get out of here. We're going to get back to Jackson because we got another state championship type team 2 years ago that's coming in next week. That's athletic and tough, and our coach has been the head coach for 45 years. I mean, they have a great program. So we got about 15 more minutes to feel bad, and then it's time to man up and get ready for next week.
Well, for fans that were lucky enough to be here tonight, and I hope a lot more were listening, it was special. Ironton, I think, won their 704th game in the history of Ironton football, most in all of Southeastern District. Guess who's number 2? We are at about 630. We're the second most wins, and boy, tonight you would have thought these are two of the very best.
Yeah, they were, and I tell you, it's just, like I said, I'm so proud of our kids. Learning situation. We get in that situation again. Maybe we get some, do some things differently. But cut Ironton. They fought hard. I mean, it was a heavyweight battle. It's exactly what we thought in the pregame show. We talked about, two heavyweights just slugging it out in the middle of the ring, and last man standing is going to win. And, unfortunately, that wasn't us tonight.
Coach will let you get back down with your troops. And, our kids are resilient.
They are.
Tough kids.
They're great kids. I love them.
It's going to be a tough week, and they'll bounce back, and I'll bet they'll give you a great week of practice.
I have no doubt in my mind. My staff will get them ready. And like I said, they got now about 10 minutes to feel for this, and it's time to move on and get ready for next week.
Congratulations, Coach, on a heartbreaker.
I mean,
it's not a win, but it's one of the best football games I've ever witnessed.
It's a pretty good one.
And we've witnessed a few of them.
Yes, we have.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks.
Well, the Jackson Ironmen fall to the Ironton Tigers by a score of 13-10 in one of the most heartbreaking losses that Pete Wilson, myself, our buddy Dan Dobbins have ever been involved in. And Pete, the only thing we can do is do like the team is. Let's quit feeling sorry for ourselves and be ready to bounce back next week. We got a fabulous schedule this year. We got good teams all the way through, and it's going to be fun to play Licking Valley next week. And you're right, 2 years ago they were in the state finals. So,
right, another great challenge. You got to get up for it, and I think we can all agree about this. The present and the future are more important than the past, and that's what we have in front of us.
Absolutely. Well, we want to give a big thank you to Hayden back at the station. He weathered through all our delays with weather and everything, and kind of stressful at times, but he really stepped up to the plate, did a great job, and all the fans driving back to Jackson, I know we're beat up right at the moment, but this Jackson Ironman team will bounce back, and it's going to be fun next week as the Ironmen get back in Alumni Stadium, and that's always a good thing, and Licking Valley comes to town, and that should be a real fun matchup.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Well,
boy, is right.
hey, listen, good for everybody involved, though.
Yeah.
It was a hard-fought game. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And if you're
Yeah.
going to lose to Ironton,
That's the way to do it.
that's
Well, like they said, I mean, that
pretty meaningful.
right, like that game proved that they can hang with,
Oh,
the best teams that they're going to play.
you don't know how, your team is. You don't know. You think you know
Yeah.
until you get out and amongst
Mhm.
playing. And
Right.
I think that Jackson has nothing to hang their heads about. I mean, they are
Yeah.
rocking it. And
Yep.
that could have very well ended the other way. So
Mhm. Yep.
there you go.
Yep. Crazy, crazy, crazy game.
What? I just don't ever. I mean, that would be crazy for a college game or a pro game, let alone a
Yeah.
high school game.
Be crazy for like a biddy league game.
Can you imagine? I'm gonna tell you what, the little Pee-wee stuff is so cute because you've got like these kids and like their pads and their
Yeah.
helmets are bigger than they
Bigger
are,
than
and
they
they're
are,
so
yeah.
cute. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, and they just have so much fun.
Speaking of like the pads and everything being like bigger than the kids,
Mhm.
I think it's so funny. Like all the schools now, like they all have like deals with like Adidas and stuff like that. They all have like nice new equipment. But like when I played, like we were still like using like what was left over from the 80s,
Right.
It's like,
Trying to
what?
scrape some pants together. You go buy your own pants. We'll give
Yeah.
you some shoulder pads or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Putting towels on your stuffing towels in there and stuff.
Shin guards or just cardboard boxes.
Right.
Duct tape. No, it wasn't that bad.
No, No, but I know what you're saying. I mean, these high school teams now are rocking uniforms that
Yeah.
are the same as college players
Yeah.
and pro players.
Right. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fields look as sharp almost.
They do.
Yeah.
And we are blessed in our area to have some really good, supportive fans
Yeah.
that help support the kids and boosters and people that do donate to the stadiums and things like that. And football is very important around here, and sports just in
Yeah.
general is very
To a lot of
important around
people.
here. So yep, a lot of people get involved. I just can't believe it. Like my
Yeah.
mind is. I thought about those kids all day yesterday. I just
Yeah.
oh,
It's
your heart, like you're so proud of
Yeah.
them, and you just want to give them all
Yeah.
hugs because your heart breaks for
it
them
was such
too.
it was such an unbelievable
Yeah.
finish.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what the heck?
Be interesting to see what happens next weekend.
Oh, I have a feeling I know what's going to happen
Yeah.
next weekend. I'm guessing they're going to beat the tar out of
You might be right.
somebody. Be my
You
guess.
might be right.
So, yep. So, we played at the beginning of the show a clip from Belicio,
Yeah.
and they were supposed to be our guests on Friday.
Mhm.
Something happened; they couldn't.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, we'll try
Hopefully
to
we'll get
get them back
Yep.
because they've got a lot of exciting things going
we do.
on. Yeah.
Alex Shope, Pete's new assistant editor.
Yeah.
He was down at Belicio, I think last Thursday. He did an interview with them about they have this new contract with the union,
Okay.
and that means that the wages went up basically.
Okay.
So
Excuse me.
yeah, so basically you see them with now hiring signs pretty often. We played a little advertisement for them at the beginning of the show today.
Yep.
And the reason that they're kind of pushing that is because those wages are higher now.
Okay.
But they've also had a lot of recent construction things, like upkeep to the factory, to the
They
building.
sure have.
And that stuff's, as far as I understand, pretty much all finished now. Like that front office area is all new.
Yeah, it's
and that's-
lovely.
and that's finished now.
Yeah, if you drive up and down Broadway, you've been noticing the
Yeah.
construction
Yeah.
for a long time.
Right, and you notice that all that scaffolding and everything
Yep.
is gone now, and of course that big freezer project,
Yep.
which that finished up last year. So
Yep.
yeah, lots of crazy things.
It's interesting, and it's funny. They can, Nick or whomever comes in can talk about that freezer when they come in, but we got to know some of the guys that were here in town. We've had the pipeline guys in
Mhm.
town. We've had all of this stuff, but there were the freezer people in
Yeah.
town, right?
Right.
And, this is a ginormous project. And so they were here for quite some time. So we got to know some of them. And that freezer project was one of the most fascinating things to hear about. Like, that sucker took like a month to cool down.
Oh yeah,
Like, once they got it finished and to get it down to the actual
yeah. They
freezer
they
temperature,
drop it 5 or 10 degrees a day.
it took like a month.
Yeah, and it's
You don't just
it's
flip it on
yeah.
and
it's colder in there than you think it is. Like it's colder than your house refrigerator.
yeah. So, and it'll be interesting to talk to them about that and see how that all goes. But yeah, the freezer guy. I mean, there's people that just travel around the country and that's what they do. They build these
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah, and there's a lot more that goes into it than you would think.
oh
There's
yeah,
a whole lot of engineers and things like that are just sitting there typing code into their computer to make sure that
Yeah.
all the automation,
all
is
the
working
nerdy
right.
stuff.
Yeah, it's tremendous. It's really a lot.
It is.
It's really,
So,
really is a lot.
Yeah, you don't just build a building, flip a switch, it gets cold, and that's
No.
it. There's a lot of automation and stuff.
not
in
when
it.
it's 3,000 square feet or whatever that is, and has to be, -20 or whatever it is. in there.
Right. So I don't know how I got off on that subject, other than we were
Just
looking
talking about
forward to.
Belicio.
Yeah, we were looking forward to them coming in, and
Yeah.
then they ended up something happened,
Mhm.
and so we'll try to get them back in. 'cause that's a good
The
one.
governor visited Belicio about a week ago.
That's
too.
right.
That was in I think last Wednesday's Telegram story about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots
I
of
feel like the
interesting
governor's
things.
been down in our area a little bit lately.
Yeah, well,
That's
it
pretty
was-
cool.
Yeah, it was all part of the same trip. Like he did, I guess he did this back in 2019 also, and 2020 he didn't really travel.
Obviously.
But so he did like a little sort of family vacation tour of southeastern Ohio.
Yep.
They went to Lake Hope. They went to Hocking Hills. we went with them to the Franklin Furnace
Yeah,
or
Buckeye
Furnace.
Yep,
Sorry.
Yep.
And then he toured Belicio. He took his family to Tecumseh. So they
Very
really,
cool.
And then back in 2019, like they went to Shawnee State State
That's
Park.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
You are so right about that. So it was funny. I think you were kind of in on this conversation because I was having it here, but I had called the state about a permit that we needed and struck up a conversation with the very nice lady that was on the other end of the phone. And she said, "Now you're from where?" And I said,
West Virginia.
"Jackson." And she said, "Never heard of it." And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, because it's south of 70. And she started laughing and she said, "Yeah, I'm from Akron." So, and
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, you really wouldn't know where Jackson is then." And she's like, "Well, tell me about it, And I'm like, "Well, if you've ever gone to the beach or you've, gone south
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere, you've driven through Jackson, you just didn't know it and whatever." But it is so funny. I'm like, and she was like, "I didn't mean to be offensive." I'm like, no offense taken. It's fact that
Yeah.
anyone from Columbus up thinks that Ohio ends at 70. So my point is to have the governor come down here,
Yeah.
several times in the past month or so, is pretty neat stuff to recognize that we do live,
Right.
that
And-
there are people down here.
Right. And we, at Total Media and the Telegram, whenever somebody from the state government does come down here, we
Yeah.
make it a point to, put that out there to show that some of these people are at least trying to
Right.
show that they know that we're down here.
It was like when we first opened the brewery, I was a little hard on people back then too, but when we first opened the brewery, it was right in the transition between Obama and Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So, they all hire their own people, right?
Yeah.
So to get our federal brewer's permit, that's a whole other, you have your state
Mhm.
permits, but then you also have a federal permit. So basically you had Obama's people leaving and Trump's people coming
Yeah.
in. And somehow our permit got buried on a desk somewhere,
Yeah.
never to be seen ever again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to call. So what do? You call the people that are elected to represent you, right?
Yeah.
So we had called at that time Rob Portman's office,
Mm-hmm.
which strangely enough, one of his right-hand women is from our area.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rob Portman, his office was able to find our permit
Mhm.
for us, help find our permit for us, get it issued, all of that stuff. So thank them for that. Well, he just happened to be driving through the area one day and he called and he said, "Hey, no, we helped you guys with this. Can we stop and see what we helped create?" And we were like, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty freaking cool, right?"
Uh-huh.
So he stops just with a couple of people, and as he was driving through the area, and then ate at the restaurant, and we took him a little tour, let him sample a couple of beers and whatnot, and so we posted it on there, and people are just like rabid.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't he stop and have a town hall? Why didn't he? I'm like, oh my gosh, he was just driving through, and he
Yeah.
stopped to say hi and see
Yeah. You would be.
and we were so thankful.
You would
to
be
him.
amazed at how
Wow,
exactly scheduled these guys'
They
time is.
are very.
I mean, they just don't have, such little wiggle room,
yes,
right? Like they just the whole day.
yes.
Like,
So it's like, oh, I have it is now 4:35. We will be at Archinetti's at
Right.
4:45. I have 45 minutes to eat, and then we will have to be in Chillicothe
Right.
at blah blah blah.
and if you
That's how it
ever,
is.
have an interaction with somebody like a, state or national level politician, and they seem exhausted,
That's why.
that's why. If they oh, he seemed kind of rude. Well, it's probably because he's been jerked.
He's
around
now
all
been
day,
14
and he's
places
exhausted.
smiling for, whatever. So don't take them,
Yeah.
don't be so quick to take them down the road
Yeah.
on, well, he stopped in Jackson. Why didn't he have a town hall? Well, because he stopped in Jackson to get something to eat.
Yeah. That's not to say that you shouldn't hold your elected officials responsible for
Correct.
decisions that they make.
But don't be so
But,
quick
yeah,
to
but maybe
criticize.
don't be rude about them
Be happy
not
that they're
doing
here.
literally everything.
Yeah. So, I don't know other than, I just think it's really neat my point is when they do stop in our area,
Yeah.
it's pretty darn cool because, again,
Mm-hmm.
half of Ohio thinks that Ohio stops at I-70.
Right. Well, I mean, like,
There's a whole other half.
think about when Jill Manchin visited Benton County a while back. Her husband is Joe Manchin,
yeah.
U.S. Senator,
Yes.
maybe the most important vote in the Senate right now. You've got to think his wife has his ear.
For sure.
Right. And so how important is it?
If he was smart, he would.
Yeah. So how important is it to have somebody of that, stature
Sure.
showing interest in your community?
Right. And when she comes here and she's the one that went up
She
and
visited
about
the
the
water.
water
Right.
stuff. I'm sure she went home and said, do you know there are people in Benton County, Ohio that don't have water?
Right.
Like running water? Like, what is wrong with this country?
Mm-hmm.
Do something about it, Joe.
Yeah. And then he went to the other Joe and said, something about it.
Hey.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's, politics is politics and whatever. But, listen, if we can get some of the high up people to show up in our area and to listen to what we have to say, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yep.
We should be thankful that they're taking time.
And take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, take advantage of those opportunities. When they look at you and say, is there anything that you all need or can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
Be darn ready to answer that question.
Yeah. Mark Fout, Benton County Commissioner, like he's like, when you have those opportunities, like, you
jump on it.
Yeah, you have to. And he's, somebody that's not afraid to, jump up and be that, squeaky wheel or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. So there you go. There's Politics 101 for the day.
Yeah.
So did you have a fun weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
Dude, I stayed
Minus
in the air conditioning.
I know.
I went to the Oak Hill game Friday night. Got rained on a little bit.
Yep.
It was, it was fun. I hadn't been to a high school football game in a long time. I don't remember the last one that I actually went to. No, but it was nice. Got to see that new stadium and everything.
Is it as pretty in person as it is in your pretty pictures?
The track still has a lot of work.
Yeah.
To do. So it's very much not finished.
Okay.
I will say that it was definitely more cleaned up than it was when I had gone over a few earlier in the week.
Yeah.
When they were still working on getting it cleaned up and stuff. But then of course all that rain came. And, it got pretty muddy and stuff like that, which I'm sure they were anticipating. But to finish that paving project, they're going to have a stretch of warm, sunny days. And we're going to have a lot of kind of pop-up rain showers and stuff recently. That's the problem. Yeah.
It rains every afternoon.
Yeah. So, and of course, and it's going to start cooling down soon. So the window for getting that done is...
Well, maybe the end of the week.
Going to be a little tight. Yeah, hopefully sooner than later.
If they could get it, in the middle to end of this week, it's looking, 80 and sunny. So that should be pretty good temperatures for that.
Yeah.
But I actually got to go to a pool on Saturday. I was so excited. Me and my 50 sunscreen because I'm so pale that I'm so afraid I'm going to get burnt because I never get outside. But, it was fun. Got to swim. I love swimming.
Yeah.
So that was a good time. Then finally had our employee
Christmas party.
A&E staff.
It's not even,
Christmas
you can't even
party.
You're late for Christmas in July. It's basically September.
I know. Well, we were going to have it in the spring, and you still had the kind of the COVID stuff, and then it's you put it off because you're just not sure what to do, and so I know everyone laughs at us, but everyone basically has opted because Christmas in the hospitality business, in the restaurant business, is pretty busy and pretty stressful season, and you're helping everybody else with their Christmas parties and things like that. The last thing you want to do is go to another party.
Right.
So we've always opted to kind of either have it in the spring or the summer. So it definitely got delayed this year. But no, we went to La Rosa's actually, and they have this really pretty downstairs banquet facility. So I want to thank Tyler and the gang there for being so hospitable to us, and they were very kind and had some pizza and good food and salads. I love their salads.
Yeah.
They're so good.
It's where we had my high school 10-year reunion.
Oh,
down there.
yeah. It's
that
nice.
base. Yeah.
It's really nice.
Go back even further. That's where we had my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. This was back when it was still the Lewis family restaurant.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but yeah, so that was nice. I just wanted to give them a shout out to thank them for putting up with us for our Christmas party.
Yeah. Christmas in September.
Christmas in September. Hey, no, it's still August. We're not that late.
Couple days.
We have 2 days, darn it. And I do want to give myself a free plug. We are, because we're very appreciative, and we'll do more of these for other folks, but our first one is tomorrow, actually, at the brewery. We're doing Teacher Appreciation Day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So tomorrow from like 4 to 9, we're going to do just for anyone's obviously invited, but we're going to do margarita flights,
Whoa.
which we don't ever do.
Yeah.
We're going to do some really fun stuff, discounts for the teachers. Yeah. We're going to have some cookies and some cupcakes for them. Man. And yeah, so if you're a teacher or know a teacher, anyone that works in that, come on out to the brewery tomorrow, 6 cents, and we want to just honor you and support you. So we thought that would be a fun thing to do. So they've made it through their first weeks of school. They need a break.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. So anyway, well, what else do we have to do today?
Well, I don't know what else we have to do today.
Okay.
Just for the week in general, Pete Wilson is on another vacation.
What?
After Friday night, he
called. He's like, I'm out.
He's like, guys, it's going to take me a few days to recover from this.
I gotta recover from this.
Yeah, so Pete's not going to be. He might be up toward the end of the week, but
he's out blowing in a paper bag somewhere, trying to like get himself. Yeah.
It's just get it together, Pete. So Courtney is going to be here tomorrow.
Okay.
So Courtney will be here, and then on Wednesday, Josh Willett from Tri-City Theater and Silver Screen 7 is going to be in.
That's going to be fun
because
they went to a convention.
They went to CinemaCon this past weekend, which is like a convention for people in the theater industry.
Yes.
And kind of previewing like movies coming up in the next year, new technology and things like that.
Yes.
So they got to see like a sneak peek of the next Matrix movie. I think they might have got to see a sneak peek of the new Ghostbusters movie, things like that.
I mean, that's some exciting. So they have the inside skinny about what's coming out.
Yeah. And they also went all over Vegas and saw some cool Vegas-y things. But there are some big movies that have just recently come out and are coming out soon. He's going to talk about like this. A new Marvel movie comes out this weekend.
Okay.
And I think that this one is only in theaters. There's no direct to streaming like the last few big Disney movies have had. So that's kind of a big thing, sort of back to the theater kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we talked about Spider-Man last week.
That's right.
And that's going to be here before we know it. So there's probably already people like wanting to get pre-sale tickets because that comes out like the week before Christmas. So yeah, so there's a lot of exciting movie things going on. So Josh will be here on Wednesday to talk about that.
Okay, I look forward to it. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then we have a really special guest on Friday. I don't have his name right in front of me. I apologize, but he is.
You're fine. I've got it.
He's a veteran that fought in Afghanistan,
sweet.
And he's going to come in and kind of give a first-person perspective on.
His name is Scott King.
Yeah, so he works for the city of Jackson.
Yes,
and he served in the military in Afghanistan, and he's going to kind of come in and talk about his first-person experience.
Yeah.
And his, all the kind of madness that's happening over there right now.
Absolutely.
And kind of talk about that. So I'm really interested to hear what he has to say.
Me too.
I know Alex has been kind of talking to him and interviewing him and stuff back and forth for the Telegram. So I'm guessing that article is probably either going to be in Wednesday or Saturday's paper this week.
Okay.
I know Alex said, like, this is really interesting story, so he wanted to make sure that he spent a little bit of extra time on it.
And it's certainly appropriate, as even more so as, we had those horrific deaths
Right.
Recently, and
Yeah.
to get someone's firsthand and not listen to the news, their sensational BS that they spew out, and just to listen to someone that's actually been there
Yeah.
and done that, that's going to be
Yeah.
awesome.
So he'll be in. I believe it's Friday,
Okay.
Thursday or Friday. I think it's Friday. So that's a few things that we have going on this week I'm looking forward to.
That's right. And the Buckeyes play Thursday.
That's right. The Bengals play this weekend too.
Oh yeah. They did have some preseason. I don't know. I just can't get into the preseason games. I don't know why.
I watched about half of the Bengals preseason game yesterday. I mean, it's a preseason game.
We
the
watched
starters
part of
weren't
it.
Playing and all that kind of thing.
The Browns were on last night. I can't. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like watching paint dry to me. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
It's too early, I think.
Yeah. I
So.
watched a little bit of the Paralympics.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting. So what I watched was the triathlon,
Oh my goodness.
and they were all blind, running a triathlon, and the way that they do this is they're like tethered to a guide. So they have like one seeing participant, competitor, whatever you want to say,
Okay.
and then the other one is blind, and they're tied together and they run like shoulder to shoulder.
Well, what happens if you're better than your guide? Hurry it up, dude.
So, the guy that won the gold medal, his guide was like an Olympic level triathlete. Like he had been in the 2018
Okay.
Olympics, and then he retired after that and became like a coach.
I gotcha.
So like the coaches were no slouches,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So they're like Olympic caliber
Right.
folks too.
Yeah. or at least
Makes sense.
at least the best of them
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, because that wouldn't be fair. My guide is holding me back.
Yeah. But that was pretty.
No, that is
pretty incredible to
interesting.
watch.
I was saw an interview with one of the girls that swims, and she was born with a disorder where she didn't have like bones in her feet or something, so they ended up amputating from like her knee down on both legs. And she swims with, and she said that she swims with no, you don't swimming with a prosthesis or anything. So, but she said the pool is just like her happy place, the place where she can be normal and free and whatever. And I just thought, wow, I mean, to get going and you've got half your leg basically. I don't know how you can do that, and they're just flying. I mean, it's just so talented. Unbelievable.
I guess I have a distant cousin that's in one of the rowing sports.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's somebody I've never met, but
That's exciting.
Dad's like, oh yeah, it's so and so's grandson or
Really?
nephew or whatever. Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
We should bring him,
Well, I don't think-
here.
Yeah. Well, I think he like lives in overseas somewhere.
Oh, darn it.
It's not like a local person.
Oh.
Like I said, it's somebody that we don't really know.
I would
Just
like to.
Dad knew the family connection. 'Cause-
Yeah. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right. Well,
I'm gonna pop over here.
oh
And
yeah.
you go ahead and sign off.
So this is a low budget operation, but that's okay because we thank you, James, for pushing all the right buttons and getting everything all
welcome.
situated, because he knows what he's doing.
Pretend.
So yeah,
Really
so
good.
yes, Amanda, Scott King is a great guy. You are correct. All right, so we have to get out of here for the day. Look forward to having Courtney here with us tomorrow, and we'll chit chat about God only knows what, but it'll be fun, whatever it is. So have a wonderful day. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we will see you right back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching.